What does it mean? He's talking too fast. You know? Okay, well, whatever. Pre-Columbia, Columbia means before Columbus. The theory behind how did humans get to the Western Hemisphere, which is what this is called. You guys know the story, right? The Bering Strait story. Okay, do I need to talk about it then? No. Any questions? Long time ago, they walked down. Okay, good. If you don't know it, you should ask. If I talk about it, I expect you to know it. So, and remember it. Okay. So, the first natives or first people arriving here come through the Bering Straits, etc. By the way, where did a man first evolve, if according to theories of evolution? Right?
Yeah, Africa.
Africa, right. And my map is here, and these things are in the way, but that's all right. I want to make a point to show you that the there we go. So I'm using this not for exploration purposes, but to show you kind of like this theory. You guys know the concept of what is it? Polygenesis or monogenesis? That's it. Polygenesis or monogenesis? Do you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah. Poly means many. Mono means one. Remember? You ever heard that? It's what they call prefixes and suffixes. Prefix.
Yeah.
Poly is like the root for multiple, and mono is the root for one. So the concept is that, do you believe in polygenesis, means the evolution of man in one location, excuse me, many locations, or just one?
Many.
I don't know. It's a theory that they say. Was it just one place in Africa, or was it multiple places where you have the evolution of humans? Go ahead.
What did the world look like? Like, where was Africa?
It was the Pangea kind of thing. It was like a big egg or whatever. You know, it was all put together. I don't know, billions of years, millions of years probably. Anyway, I don't know the answer. I'm just wondering if you ever heard those concepts. You ever heard that? You ever talk about that?
Heard about it.
Do you talk about that in bio? Do you?
No.
Not yet.
We discussed that in our history.
That's interesting.
Neat.
Bio.
Ask Miss Moss if she's heard of it and what she thinks. You guys have Miss Moss?
Yeah.
See if just for fun. Or no. Anyway, so let's say it was monogenesis, and then humans evolved into these areas, and eventually went up over here and came up with the ice ages. This is the Bering Straits concept. It's going to be the reason why it's important is what happens when the Europeans get there for the Columbian exchange. Basically, they migrated finally down here, and then the ice age melted, and all of this this connection was lost. And then the other question is, well, were there any other connections? Well, there's some theories that say the Polynesians may have gone to South America. You know, the people what are those what are those boats called? The outriggers or whatever with the big things.
Yeah.
Supposedly they came to the coast of South America. Supposedly the Vikings supposedly were involved in some of that.
They went to Newfoundland.
Yeah, whatever. But this is kind of the most widely accepted theory about how humans were integrated or migrated to this Western Hemisphere. But then this connection disappeared, and this part of the world had connections. They had trade back and forth. People, they're mixing, and that's going to be important later when we talk about the when we talk about the Columbian Exchange. Anyway, so we got the land bridge, blah, blah, blah. What you're going to see is that diverse types of Native Americans in the Western Hemisphere. You have many different groups. Now this is important because it's going to affect the type of colonization. Meso and South America, these are the aspects of it. So we're talking Aztecs, the Mayas, and the Incas in South America are going to manifest these things. They're going to be large-scale agriculture. They're going to have large population. They're going to live in cities. They're going to have cities. It's going to be imperial in nature. They're going to have social stratification. It's prehistoric. They'll have limited metal technology. They'll be polytheistic and theocratic. This you must know. So this would be something you'd want to try to remember. So when I say what was pre-Columbian civilization like, or pre-Columbian America like, you would say, well, there's two major groups. This is one group, and then there's another group. By the way, you don't have to write every word, but damn it, you're going to know all this with the day of the test? You already got.
Yeah.
You already have this?
Yeah.
Do you know all those words?
Yes. I took notes from it yesterday.
On my PowerPoint?
No, from the textbook.
You say that they had no writing, but didn't the Mayans have writing?
Not that what we consider typical alphabet. They had like hieroglyphs or like hieroglyphs. It's kind of like the picture stuff. It's not considered an alphabet, as far as I know. Yes.
Couldn't you technically call the Incan knot system a type of writing?
The what?
Or is that just like
The what?
there's this in the Incan civilization they use knots to.
Yeah, they don't consider that. They don't consider it an alphabet or like writing. It's not the same. I don't. But you want maybe that's a controversy we can agree that's disputed. That's fine. I don't care. But the big thing is you want to compare this civilization with the other group of Native Americans who will be in North America, and that's what the English will encounter. Spanish will encounter these guys. The English will encounter these guys. And the difference, meaning of it is, the Spanish will develop their colonial system differently than the English because of the different types of people they meet.
Why do you think that the Mesoamericans and the South Americans developed empires whilst the Northern Unions were all fractious and stateless?
Well, it was a mixed bag. That's political structure, but it's also population. Large-scale agriculture creates population. When you have organized agriculture, you have people telling the natives when to plant, and you get massive surplus of agriculture. You can provide food, and that's when also you get cities, right? Massive population, you need places to live, and if you have good agriculture, you can stay in one place, and so that's when you get a higher level of civilization. You see that in Europe and Africa and other places. So these are important. Do you know all these terms? What is imperial nature? What does imperial structure mean? Does everybody know? Raise your hand, you know what imperial means. Raise it high. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why are you guys not asking questions? Are you afraid to ask questions? Am I that intimidating? If you see something that you don't know, you ask. You know why? Why? Ivan, why? Why should you ask?
Because if you don't know it, then you won't get it right on the test.
It's all about the test, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Is it all about the test only? Why are you here? Learn stuff. And the definition of learning is knowing stuff you didn't know before. Okay, so if you see something, you got to have an open, listen to me, if you don't have a mind that says, I want to know this stuff, you're in the wrong class. You don't belong here. Because there's tons of stuff that you don't need to know to survive here. Okay? You have to have an open mind and say, I want to know as much as I can. You have to be active to know it. If you're not, because there's massive amount of information. And if you're sitting there going, tell me whatever, I'm not really paying attention, I'm not looking up, just don't call on me. If your attitude is don't call on me, I'm just sitting here, you're in the wrong place. You're not gonna pass. Okay? So please start being engaged in what we're doing. Because that's the name of this course is AP. You know what AP stands for?
Advanced placement.
Freaking hard. Where's my, we don't have our thing. We need a slogan. AP, it wouldn't be called AP if it was easy. Ooh. It's not easy. You have to think, you have to be involved. Okay. So please start asking questions, especially for stuff you don't know. No, I want to know this. Right? Or all of us will be frustrated. And my goal is not to be frustrating to you or to me. All right. Go ahead. Questions? Yes.
There's a lot of words up there that I don't know. So, to explain, like, what is imperial in nature and social stratification?
Okay, let's start with one at a time. Imperial, and this is really important to understand how the Spanish conquered the Aztecs and the Incas. Imperial means the Aztecs were one power, were the power in the neighborhood, and they had all these smaller tribes, and the Aztecs took them over and forced them to pay tribute like an empire, like an emperor, right? An empire like the Spanish Empire. The definition of an empire is one country controls another people. Does that make sense? So the Aztecs and the Incas both controlled other ethnic groups, other tribes, and those tribes had to pay tribute. Aztecs, they had to pay people to be sacrificed, and gold and labor, etc. And the reason why it's important is the Spanish will come in and they will take out the Aztecs and put themselves and keep the structure. And these natives were used to it, and they just went along with it. It wasn't pretty, but they were able to cut the head off the Aztec Empire and put themselves at the top. And that's why that's, for sure, imperial is important. Get it? Another question. Go ahead.
What is social stratification?
Social stratification is basically when you think of the social hierarchy, division of labor, wealth, and power. So for the Aztecs, they had this structure. Their priests, kings, kind of theocratic leadership, right? They had a warrior class. They had a middle class, which was like artisans and things of that nature, right? Like people who build stuff. And then they had a massive base of Indian labor. Questions, comment? Go ahead. What?
I didn't say.
The girl. I don't know, someone was talking. It's all right. What were you saying? Okay. So they had this massive labor of Indians who worked the fields and did everything else. Meanwhile, they were able to develop a more sophisticated civilization. Priests, kings, warriors, middle class, with like artisans and things. Yes?
So like, were people stuck in those social classes?
That's a good question. We use the term mobility. Did they have social mobility? I'm not so sure about that. I don't know that much about it, honestly. My sense is you're born in Indian, you probably stayed an Indian. You worked as a laborer. If you were born in the middle class or the priest class, you were in there. So I don't think there was much mobility, honestly. Yeah. Social, everyone say social stratification.
Social stratification.
You know what the word stratification means, right? That's like the stratosphere, right? And layers. Okay?
Structure.
So, know there's social stratification. Polytheistic, everybody know that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yes.
Everybody knows? Good. Okay. And theocratic. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna ask you this one.
It means religious-based politics, religious government. So, for example, Saudi Arabia is a theocracy, theocratic monarchy. Iran is a theocracy. They are based on religious law. Their mullah, their grand whatever leader, supreme leader, Ayatollah, religious leader. Okay. The Republican Party is a theocracy. You know, I mean, do they accept? Oh, wait a minute. They probably could. Anybody Republican here? Really?
Yeah.
What kind?
I don't know. Business Republican.
Pro-business? Anti-government? Selfish?
Objectivist.
Honestly, yeah.
You know, you can't survive unless you're selfish, right?
Mhm.
Good, I agree with that. Survival of the fittest. Huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, now comparing, so we got the Aztecs and the Incas. Now what the English are going to encounter here, and that's pretty much most of the, I'd say 99% of the Native Americans that we encounter in North America and the United States, minus a little bit here in the Pueblos, with significant little differences, had these qualities. Hunter-gatherer, small groups, limited nomadic, some agriculture. Wasn't massive agriculture like you have in the Aztecs or Incas. There's no cities. They were definitely prehistoric. They don't have writing. They had Stone Age technology. They did not have metal, and that's pretty much they had some division of labor or social stratification. Women had a lesser status. Okay, they would do some of the agriculture generally.